Hey everyone, this is Geeky Vices with J-Belle, where I talk about the latest bits of geekdom and pop culture that I've been into lately. So the general vibe of the show is unhip, unedited, unrehearsed. Unrehearsed. I actually got my normal order of that wrong, but that's the joy of the show. It's improv, very much. And you may see occasional cameos by my cat Jazz. Hopefully, he's the adorable tuxedo. Oh, there we go. He's the adorable tuxedo. He discovered a bottle cap, which is one of his favorite toys, even though you can see all the other toys we actually buy him. Anyways, this week was a little bit hard for me to figure out a topic because my interests have been a little bit flitting about, even more so than usual for me. But I finally decided to talk about something me and the significant other started doing the other day, which was a combination of two things. So we were both listening to Critical Role because we're far behind, and then we were also playing Sid Meier's Civilization 6, aka Civ 6. Which I remember the first time I told a coworker, "Oh yeah, we played Civ 6." He's like, "Did you say syphilis? Like, what did you do?" And I'm like, "No, Civ 6, as in Civilization 6, computer game, disease free." So yeah. Anyways, yeah. So that's what we've been doing. As far as Critical Role, I am a big fan. We've been into it since pretty close to the beginning. Like I think we started watching probably around episode 5 or something, the original campaign, and we would fall behind, binge watch, fall behind, binge watch. We're super far behind. Honestly, sometimes we would stop just because like some of the major arcs that were like really sad, like impactful moments for the characters was coinciding with when there was really bad stuff happening in real life, and I'm like, I can't handle this right now. I'm emotionally too fragile to handle this right now. So it's kind of like when I rewatch certain shows where, like, if I'm rewatching House, I kind of have to stop right before the episode where we find out what happens with Cutner. Or with Buffy, I'll stop right before she has to kill Angel if I'm rewatching. So it's just like there's certain shows where, like, if I'm rewatching, like I can stop right before like where something bad happens if I know it's coming in. And Critical Role, so as I said, sometimes it's just a little bit too close to home. Sometimes like some of the stuff like what happened with Iman and the Chroma Conclave. It's like that was around the time where I had a bit of an issue of feeling like I was losing my home. So, yeah. Anyways, not to get too heavy hit, but yeah, I'm super far behind. We've listened to the first episode campaign too, but I insisted on finishing up the first campaign before we really get into campaign 2, and we're around episode 111. And the thing is that like I like watching on YouTube because I like actually watching the people play, and I like the announcements, and I like seeing the artwork, and I like all that, but it definitely took a while for us to actually get into that, or like it'd be harder to do it, especially since it's like insisted on it being both of us. So even more so, it'd be hard to kind of keep up with it. And we have started listening to the podcasts driving to and from work, but I've noticed that for me, sometimes I tend to drift off more. Like I notice, like when the car rides, I start like literally dozing. When I don't usually fall asleep in the car, so it's just I think I'm a little bit more engaged when I have the visual elements as well. Like I feel like I'm keeping up with it more if I'm watching it versus if I'm listening. I tend to get distracted and do other things. Although I will say it would be great for like if I'm washing dishes or doing chores. So yeah, but anyways, the idea was that we were gonna listen to that while playing Civilization 6, which I haven't played in about a year, so I'm a little bit behind. But yeah, that is a great game. But let me mention my Critical Role slots, and then we'll jump ship. So yeah, Critical Role, like I just realized like not all of you might necessarily know Critical Role is. So basically the whole concept of that is it is a bunch of nerdy ass voice actors, that's their actual catchphrase, playing D&D together. So there's a bunch of friends who are voice actors who were playing D&D at home, and then Felicia Day was like, "Hey, this sounds really cool. Like, how about we film you guys doing this?" And so they started filming it, and it became this big phenomenon. And part of the thing that's cool, I mean, their DM, Matt Mercer, is basically the gold standard as far as DMing. Like, that is, he puts so much effort. I mean, he's great at it. He's great coming up with the story and crafting it and doing voices for characters and building the maps and just all the effort he puts into it. But also, it's like the fact that the expectation is like you're in character when you're there, which is so much more hardcore than like most people do. But yeah, so that's the concept of it. But it's such a great. If you've never played D&D, it's a good thing to watch to kind of see what D&D can be like. Like, that's not like how most games are. Like, that's basically like the epitome of what D&D can be, because like they have all these resources and talent and such. But yeah, and the part of they are so appreciative of the success of the show, and like they've always, like, since the beginning, like they've always encouraged people to donate to like selected charities. So like they've always been very, like, you can tell that like they're still so appreciative of everything. Like, it's still like cool. It's like it's a bunch of friends that hasn't gone to their. It's like how they genuinely care about each other. But also like the fan base is like such a super positive force. Like, it's one of the most positive parts of the internet. Like, you always hear all these dark, terrible things about the internet and all the trolls and everything. Like, Critical Role, it somehow like just brings out the best in people. Like the critters, the fans are. And recently they were doing a Kickstarter to fund getting like maybe a couple of animated episodes of like one of the most famous arcs of the first campaign, and they met their goal, I think, within an hour, I believe, and they basically broke Kickstarter records. Like, I think they ended up getting, I think it was like 11 million with like 770,000 plus fans. Like, we chipped in $20 because it's like that. We wanted to contribute to it. Like, we did want it to happen, even though we knew ours. It's like, okay, we want to do our part, but like we weren't feeling like we need the heavy duty prizes. Like, so props to people who've had that level of passion or funds at their disposal. But yeah, that was actually pretty cool. And like, so it's like that's just a demonstration of the awesomeness of it. And like, yeah, they used to have something called Critmas at the end of episodes, although I think it got too big, where like they would open up all the stuff that fans would get them, and like there was all these great like handmade things and such, like all these clever jokes, and it's just like, I said, the fan base is amazing, and like they appreciate how special all of it is, and it's just grown and grown. So it's pretty amazing. So yeah, if you haven't, as I said, I highly recommend it. It's called Critical Role, ROLE, and it's on the Geek and Sundry website, Geek and Sundry website, Geek and Sundry YouTube channel. It's also, they have their own channel now. So, because they got so big, they actually got their own studio. So, props to them. But yeah, so, as I said, we've been catching up on that. But anyways, so yeah. And then Civilization 6, which is such a great computer game. So, for those of you who aren't familiar with it, Sid Meier's Civilization, it's clearly number 6 out of the series of games, and I know the significant others played at least 2 onward. I know I played I think I played a little bit 2, or maybe it was, no, I played 3. I think I played Hair 2. I definitely played 3, because that's the one that, you know, in Mythbusters, how they talk about how, like, I remember it was a Mythbuster episode where they actually tested this, and they're like, oh, that's not going to happen. Where they test if like a CD-ROM can like spin so fast it breaks in a desktop. We actually had it happen to us, and it was Civilization 3 that did happen. And we had this giant dent in our computer case, like our desktop, and it was lots of shrapnel in there. So yeah, we lost the game. But yeah, it's like if that hadn't been an enclosed case, like that could have caused serious injury, like all that like plastic shrapnel flying out. It's like there was a giant dent from the force of it. So yeah, one of those times where the BS were like, oh, that wouldn't happen. That's not likely. It's like, nope, we actually had it happen. So anyways, back to it. So yeah, I played 3. I played 4. I never played 5, even though I know like the spouse liked it. But I have 6. I definitely highly encourage, and 4 I still like. Like sometimes I'm gonna go back and play 4, but 6, like they still are doing updates. And I know we're not entirely up to date with it, but basically the idea is that you play some sort of civilization, like you play some sort of great leader. The civilization, basically, like you're building up your civilization from ground up. So like back like in like finding your first city and like dealing with barbarians and discovering like basic technologies like discovering the wheel, mysticism, such. And there's just different elements. And this Faust always describes as basically being like a board game on a computer game. And it's like that. I think there is definitely an element of that's true. So there's different ways of winning the game, and there's so many different cultures now. So it's pretty cool how much they've expanded and like how many cultures are. And some of the cultures have like multiple leader options, which I remember is part of what I liked about Civ 4. And they kept one of the ongoing jokes from earlier games where Gandhi, for some reason, there'd be basically different civilizations, and their leaders will have different goals they want. And Gandhi, for some reason, would always be nuke happy. So he likes nuclear weapons and they kept that joke because it's like that was something I think was a mistake or a computer glitch that kept on happening, and they just ran with it. But like I will say, the one character we always hate having as one of their opponents is Saladin, because he's always pissed off about you like founding your own religion, because one of the important things in Civilization 6 is faith is just as much of a currency as actual money. And the significant other is really good at utilizing that. Like, I don't usually we're not actually playing to beat each other, we're just playing just to enjoy ourselves and like build up our own cultures and trade with each other and such. But yeah, it's a really powerful resource. It's one that's definitely worthwhile. He's really good at the game. I'm not quite as aggressive, and I tend to like building and nurturing my cities, versus he's like good about like city. He's also very good about building up his military might, and as a religion, like I tend to be good about like building up like I want like culture built up in my city. I want to build theater squares. I want to build up campuses. He's like boom. And here's the other thing, like as far as like the geek scale, I am definitely more on the fantasy end of the spectrum than the sci-fi end, largely because part of it's because I love history. Like the more ancient the history, the more I'm fascinated by it. But I noticed like as soon as guns are invented, I lose interest. Like I don't care about war. I think it's probably because like at that point like it's mostly about wars, versus like beforehand it's about culture. And so for me, like this is the case for me for most things. Like as soon as guns are involved, I'm just like my interest kind of just wanes. And also like I am not aggressive enough. I just don't have it in me to be like the aggressor. So like I'll build my military to defend. Excuse me. But I don't tend to build it up to conquer other people unless someone's being a total asshole. Like it's just like I don't have it in me. Like I also like the level build, like after a certain point, like I stop kind of like I'm like, okay, I'm good. It's like it's hard for me to like get past a certain point. So like I'll build up like, oh yeah, archers, crossbowmen, swordsmen, spearmen, like cool, great, I'll have plenty of those. Boats, cool. But like once it's like being like cannons, tanks, airplanes, helicopters, I'm like, I don't care as much. So for me, I definitely enjoy the beginning part of the game. Like my favorite part of the game is founding a city and like looking for all those resources and be like, ooh, this is a cool spot, and like finding the natural wonders. So there's things that lots of cool rewards, and they've done a lot of really cool things like with each of the expansions. And I know we're behind as far as our expansions, but like they've created so many civilizations. It's so much fun. Like it's not a quick game, but like it's a good like I just want a relaxing vegging out game. So it's really good. And then like listening to Critical Role kind of like goes like I just want to relax and veg. So it's like, although I will say like since I'm so caught up mentally trying to figure out my strategy, since I'm super rusty and I am not as strong at the game as the significant other, I feel like I'm not listening to the show as much as I would like to, and like I feel like I'm gonna rewatch it later. But at least we're watching together or listening. But yeah, so yeah, that's pretty much it. I highly recommend both of these. I just realized like both of them are very much digital content, which is actually kind of cool. But yeah, I encourage. I guess like Critical Role is amazing. I will never stop gushing about it. It's so amazing. Like I think it's so cool that they broke Kickstarter records. I mean, last thing I was into that broke Kickstarter records was the Veronica Mars movie, And I think, and I missed out on the crowdfunding for that. But yeah, so that's pretty cool. And then, as I said, people who either have already played or have already fans of Civilization 6, maybe go back to it and give it another replay, or maybe I've encouraged someone else to join in. But yeah, that's what I've been into lately. So yeah. Anyways, everyone else continue enjoying your own geeky vices. Until next time, see you guys later. Jazz, want to say goodbye? You can't see his head. All right, bye guys.